On today's episode, I want to go over why all those crazy, amazingly lit, cinematic, punchy, really colorful photos that we take don't really matter. And I know that this sounds a little controversial considering that about 90% of the stuff that we post is this punchy, colorful, eye-grabbing material. And there's a very good reason for it, because my mentality is that if we post photos that are fairly normal and fairly standard, if you can get your Uncle Bob to take these photos for you, there would be no reason for you to hire us to take those really cool photos. It's our job to show you that you can get something different from what we do. However, if there's one thing that I've learned in the last over 10 years of shooting, is that as cool as those photos are, and I mean, we have them hanging all over the studio and they're fun and they definitely are cool to hang on your wall and have a cool landscape with you guys in it. Going by what photos our couples have ordered in the past, I've found that the ones that people end up really getting attached to are photos that are significant to them for other reasons. For myself, there was one photo that I remember taking of my grandmother in El Salvador when I was shooting my cousin's wedding. And that photo was probably one of the most important photos that I remember taking, because very soon after, my grandmother ended up passing away. And I remember that that was probably one of the last photos that I took of her. Same thing goes for my grandfather. On that trip, I took a photo of him, my little baked bean grandfather, and that was one of the last photos that I took of him too. And not to be completely negative, I think that some of my favorite photos are photos of Tank when he was a baby. That's why, if you guys don't know, the logo that's behind me is actually a photo that I took of him out in the desert when we were just walking around, and I think we took a road trip to the Grand Canyon and we stopped over and took a few photos. And that was more significant to me than anything. And I wasn't thinking, oh man, it's the wrong time of day to be shooting, or I hope my ISO is right. At that point, like, who gives a shit? Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter. The reason I wanted to make this vlog is because I think that through the years of shooting, I've seen so many couples who have had their parents or grandparents or uncles or someone pass away, and it makes me realize that those photos, those are the ones that matter. When I spoke with my friend Adam before posting this, I wanted to get his permission, but when I went to New York and I was shooting a wedding out there, I had a day free during the week, and I offered them a family session. And the reason was that his father was not doing too well, and we didn't know how much longer he was going to be with us. And I wanted my friend to have at least some photos with his dad. And that's why I think that photo shoot meant more to me than anything else that I shot around that time, just because I knew how much Adam's dad meant to him. And just very recently, in the last 2 weeks, we shot DJ and Lily's wedding. And although we got some really cool photos, I think that some of the most important photos that I took that day were of DJ's mom. And the reason for that is she's not doing very well. And DJ, you know, we love you and we're with you. And it just made me think even more, especially since I've been sharing a lot more with you guys, how the most important photos that we take are not these crazy, who gives a shit photos. I mean, really, the more important ones are capturing people's memories and capturing people's families. Now, if you're in the advertising world and you're not shooting such emotional days or emotional moments, I get it. This probably isn't resonating as much. But for any of us that shoot weddings, that shoot families, that shoot, quinceañeras even, like, I know that a lot of people look down on that, but think about it, like, that's a very important moment in somebody's life. And the least we could do is work our behinds off to make sure that we get something that they'll look back on and they'll be really happy to see later. I know this wasn't the usual fun, energetic type of video that I normally post, but it was just something that I was feeling and thinking about, and I just wanted to share it with you guys. And also to photographers, guys, stop worrying so much about what your ISO is, what light you use, what modifier you use. Who gives a shit? As long as you get the photo, that's what matters. As long as you capture what happened that day, that's what the couple or the client or whoever is going to be happy about. So stop worrying about your numbers. Stop worrying about the newest glass. Stop worrying about the fucking camera. Just get out there and capture something good. Whether it's your kids growing up or your parents or your grandparents before they pass away. They're not around forever.